welcome back to GFF and Friends, the podcast. The podcast for the woman that has everything.
Oh,
hello, everyone.
But where does she keep it all?
Bend over and I'll show you.
Whoa.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. I'm your host, Gay Fat Friend, a.k.a. Todd. And joining me, as always, is my teeny tiny, adorable, always cold husband, Rob.
Hello. You were being
Robbie.
so sweet until you were being very factual.
Well, I'm actually cold today as well. It's very cold. It's very Seattle freezing, which is close to freezing. It's a lot closer to freezing than California freezing.
Seriously,
is.
I've been walking the dog at like 34 degrees. It's been in the morning. It's been cold.
I think it's like 40 right now. But
it's been cold enough where like I've been slip sliding in the morning.
Yeah. 38 degrees, we've realized. 38 degrees is about the temperature in Seattle where this house really feels old.
Yeah.
And you can tell that she is not insulated.
Seriously, like 40 degrees, like it's fine. Like the heater is like, it's totally under control.
Yeah.
Like nothing. But it's like as soon as it just dips under that, like that one kind of specific number, it's like my feet are always cold. Like does not matter.
There's random breezes in the home.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
just
I
like
never felt a breezier before.
The bones of this house are cold now.
Yeah. You can tell the walls are filled with like animal fur, clippings from the yard, you know, what they used to insulate houses with in the 40s.
Yeah, all the lint that the various mice have probably dragged in there.
Yeah, exactly. Or eaten. The
yeah.
mice just ate all the lint. But yeah, this house is, it's really cold when it's below 40. And you pretty much just have to have the heat on nonstop, which we turn it off for the podcast. So it's freezing in here.
Well, I mean, I'm always wearing a hoodie anyway, so.
Yeah, which we were just talking. That could be the hoodie you wore last week.
I don't remember. I could have looked, but also it's a hoodie.
What is it?
This is for Watch Dogs Legion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so funny. We were just talking about Legion, too. How, like,
the
so
FX
many
series.
things. So many things are named Legion. TV shows, books.
A really great character from Mass Effect 3.
Exactly. Speaking of movies, we finally watched Emilia Perez last night.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, I liked it.
It's weird. I keep thinking about it, and like it feels like a stop clock on the wall kind of situation. Like there's a couple of really great things that it does, and a couple of really great things that I'm glad that we get to have now. But also at the same time, like there's a lot of stuff that just feels like it was all done by either the wrong people or for the wrong reasons, maybe, or something.
The word I kept going back to was unnecessary.
Yeah. Well,
like the fact that it's a musical doesn't add to the story at all.
Super weird. It's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 of the way through the movie they forget it's a musical and no more music happens.
And then it just kind of comes back, but like it comes back in a diegetic way that actually would have made sense for a non-musical even.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's a lot, it's kind of strange. None of the songs are especially catchy.
That's the thing too. It's like I see what it's trying to do. Like it picked a lane of like, this is what the music is going to be and this is what the music is going to do. And it did all that really well. It stayed in its lane, but there's not a single, there's not a lead track. I forgot to look up what the songs, like which songs from the movie were the Oscar nominated ones, because I think there's 2.
There's no Defying Gravity, like
exactly.
so to speak. You know, like there's no Memory from Cats. Like there's no big song, and like a lot of the songs felt like borderline jingle length. Like I mean,
they're very fast.
I'm sure in the movie they were actually longer, but I was like, one of my thought was like 48 seconds, and I was like, is that even a song at this point, or was that just somebody kind of whistling a ditty between scenes? Like there was a lot of really kind of strange stuff. And like at least I was looking at the IMDb trivia, and it seems like, you know, there's a lot of like it's super cool on representation of casting, like fantastic. And the fact that like she's the first trans actress to be nominated for Best Actress is fucking cool. But like the fact that it was, you know, a movie about the Mexican like kidnapping scene, like
cartels,
and like from a French director, and he even admitted he did not look into anything really about Mexico. He just figured he would wing it.
That I found odd.
Yeah, and also I guess there's only one Mexican actress in the entire movie, I believe, and it's spoiler. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler, but like Emilia's girlfriend is like the only actually like Mexican actress.
Well, it's funny because like it's an entire plot point and constantly brought up that Zoe Saldana is not from Mexico, but she grew up there.
At least, yeah, and like they do justify it with several of their castings, and that like, they justify like in a scene why Zoe Saldana like who she is and where she's from, as well as like Selena Gomez, at least, because I know there's a lot of people talking about her Spanish, which I couldn't tell, but also I'm not a Spanish speaker.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I
native
kept
Spanish
hearing
speaker at
people
all.
like making fun of her dialect and her accent and stuff, but they're making fun of her dialect when she's speaking Spanish, which I would never be able to. I can't pick up accents in other languages.
Her Spanish is way better than mine.
Yeah.
But like even then, as a plot point, they kind of highly suggest that she's an American first and foremost, but she happens to speak Spanish in the world that she's in, and so because at least they talk a lot. She, and she's actually one of the more bilingual characters that just kind of goes back and forth between the two. So it's like there was at least a lot of stuff where I was like, oh, a lot of things that people had problems with are actually very clearly explained, or at least they do their best to address them, being like, we know that.
Yeah.
But also, it's a weird movie. I don't know. It was weird.
And like I said, I think like 85 to 90% of the criticisms come from people starting at a level of either just hating musicals in general or hating the music of this movie. And so then every criticism after that, they went into it hating it. So like everything they say is just because of that one thing. And it's like, well, the storyline, I mean, I don't know any of the facts of the cartel industry, but the storyline I thought was pretty tight. I thought it was really good. I thought it was respectful.
Well, the movie plays as a drama.
Yeah.
And the musical, actually, it's funny because the musical numbers, if anything, undercut it and make it feel like a comedy at the beginning, especially.
Yeah.
Like the song.
The movie is very serious, and the music does cut it down.
Yeah, like the song, which I believe is literally called Vaginoplasty, like that track is like, it's like something that South Park would have written to make fun of this movie. Yeah. It's strange in that
sex change operation.
Yeah, it's strange how non-serious it feels, and like. And it's because it's funny, like even just from hearing that, I actually made a lot of assumptions about what the plot of this movie was because I didn't look up a lot and I didn't watch the trailer. I just watched it, and seriously, I had no idea. Like I thought this was literally going to be a movie where it was like everything was for the wrong reasons. It was all played for yucks, but it was like it's just the songs that made this weird wink in an otherwise very serious movie.
Yeah, and I think there's a pretty high production value and production quality to everything. I mean. Some of the scene, especially vaginoplasty, there were 50 people in that scene. There was a lot of choreography happening. It was very like, this is like a theater kid term, but it was very like a black box kind of acting theater festival feel to it. But still, it was choreographed. It was produced. It was, a big scene. And there was a couple of like really big scenes like that.
Some of the numbers
felt like La La Land.
Some of the numbers were very black boxy though. Like I remember like before actually vaginoplasty. There was a number where I was like, this movie feels cheap and it feels small. And then that number comes in and, it's more of a 360 experience where they did like a full round set that's actually cast with people that are like in full costumes and stuff. And it felt a little bit more like a production. But yeah, I don't know. It is hard when Wicked happened this year, which is a full transformation into a whole other world. And it is like, I know, there's a ton of obviously like CG set extension and stuff going on there, but like Wicked did create a situation where like they put blinders on you and you are fully surrounded when you are in that world. Like they did a very good job of at least like, if you're watching that movie, like it's a full commitment.
Well, and it kind of goes back to like a thing that I always talk to Rob about that we're a little different when it comes to appreciating entertainment is that I don't care about reviews at all. I don't even care if they're like, oh, it has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't care about any of that. I like to form my own opinions. And I feel like award shows and awards kind of do the same thing. I feel like they're just extensions of the not aesthetic, but just like personal, the way people feel about things. And everything is very subjective. That's the word. Everything's very subjective and different from person to person. So I want to like form my own opinion. And also comparing Wicked to this movie, they're just so different. There's no comparison. It's like beyond apples and oranges.
But I'm just saying it's one of those things though, where like just, especially if you've seen a movie that feels like a full, just encompassing experience, and then you see this movie that feels a little bit more coat closet-y at times. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's going to not have the same impact. And,
but it's just also different world building.
But even then, like the songs also just like they're a different totally style. But and it's funny because I'm not a musical guy. I'm just not. Like there's a couple of them that I very much enjoy, but for the most part, musicals are not a motivator.
So you already have that bias against you.
But yeah, they're not a motivator for me.
Yeah.
But like, and I know that you always talk about wanting to make your own opinions on, reviews and stuff, which like, I'm not a person that is 100% review driven. However, I will often, if I'm not interested in a movie and I do see a movie as kind of unanimously well liked, I'm like, well, fine, maybe I should go see that. And then it almost becomes like eating my vegetables.
I definitely like listen to them and pay attention to them. And I'm like, oh, this got a 90%. Oh, that's interesting.
We have our own fun. Like, seriously, Madam Web was one of the most fun 2 hours I had last year. Yeah. I had so much fun. I still quote that movie. I think Madam Web was unfairly kind of shit on by the world. I'm not going to say it's a good movie, but I'm going to say it's a fun way to spend some time.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night. It's like one of those like I don't know what those charts are called where it's like neutral, chaotic neutral, happy neutral, anyway, that kind of stuff. But I was kind of saying that about movies where like it's a movie that's bad and we also think it's bad and don't enjoy it. Or it's a movie that's bad but it's so bad that it's good and we do enjoy it. Or it's a movie that everyone else thinks is bad but we think is good. Like, where does this fall? And we went into Emilia Perez thinking that it was a bad movie that we were also going to think was bad, but we were going to laugh at it. Like we were going to get enjoyment out of laughing at it. But I actually ended up liking it. And like with Madam Web, I like Madam Web. I think it's funny. I think we're all in on the joke. I think it's silly. I love the press tour that came with it. Like, I'm on board.
Emilia Perez, like I definitely like. I certainly watched it like through a furrowed brow for a while, and by the time I was done, I was watching it more of like with actual concern and care for some of these people. Like I was surprised how much I cared. But I will say, some of the musical numbers, like. If it didn't have musical numbers, it would have been a better movie. I'll actually flat out say that. I think they are a distraction and non-additive to the experience. If anything, all they do is drive a lot of audiences away and make the movie feel unserious.
Yeah, like if you don't already have an ear for musical theater of all types, and like if you don't already have just like a good filter in your body for musical theater and how you like interpret it, this movie is probably going to rub you the wrong way just because it'll be annoying to you. Yeah.
And I think it would have been a more powerful movie just kind of because it did not have like, it wasn't as tacky as I thought it would be. Yeah. Like it's crazy just how much like, I just think if you got rid of some of the cringe factor from the musical numbers, like it honestly would not have quite the same kind of, I won't say stink because it doesn't have a stink on it, but it wouldn't have the same kind of like, little bit of a flaw that's like really kind of its biggest flaw.
Two things that I really liked about it that stuck out to me, which actually made me physically uncomfortable. There's one song where they remove all the breaths, and so she's singing the song and it goes on for a really long time without breathing, and clearly was edited and filmed to make that happen because no one could sing like that and not breathe. And I found myself losing breath. Like I found myself like gasping and my heart rate kind of went up a little bit. I was like, is she going to breathe? Can she please breathe? Like, I feel like it's like when you watch someone drowning in a movie, it's just like, I feel like I'm drowning now. I can't breathe. I thought that was really cool. And then another one, there's a scene in a restaurant where they have a full restaurant. Clearly it's like on a soundstage. They have a full restaurant, but then like when they go into a song, the lighting dims and all of the other people in the restaurant are all at their tables. All the people are at their table because they're eating at a table of like 10 people. Everyone stayed, even though the lighting is just on the two people singing's faces. And then the lighting came up after the song, and it was filmed really cool. I've never seen anything like that, and I thought that was really neat. So I don't know if I see 13 Academy Award nominations in it.
I definitely do not.
Especially when you compare that to like Lord of the Rings, like other things that have gotten that many nominations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We shall see.
Well,
it's all up in the air anyway, and who cares about awards?
Well, and seriously, I'm sorry, everyone who's known me for the last like ever. I like. This is almost like a thing I could just kind of repeat this in my sleep at this point. But yeah, like the Oscars, like when I was like a teenager and I was super into movies back then, the Oscars I thought were like such a big deal and I had such investment in them. And then basically after like the 1 year where I was really like, I'd committed and I'd seen so many of the movies that year, even the shit that was hard to see. And when I thought was like the most obvious slam dunk award did not work out the way I thought it should in a way that I thought was a great injustice. I was like, oh yeah, okay, so the Oscars are just not for me. And that's okay. Like I can recognize that at least like they can shine a light on the handful of stuff. They often focus on shit I do not care about. But, it's like at least it's kind of a reasonable short list of stuff for cultural literacy worth seeing, stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm not one for like, this shit was snubbed, but it is crazy how much Challengers got kind of screwed. Even just for like score. Like, that at least would have been...
Right? That's crazy. Like, especially since they won the Golden Globe.
Right? And I know that like the Oscars aren't like, I'm not saying that the Hollywood foreign press want to rub up with fame, but like, you know, there's a lot of talk about like the Golden Globes nominating people who shouldn't be nominated for stuff because they want people to show up to the party, or like to the event, you know. But then the Oscars don't play that game. But also it's like, oh man, just by having something kind of cool like that, and hasn't he already won an Oscar? He's won an Oscar for Soul. Like
who, Trent?
Yeah, Trent's already won.
He won Social Network. He won Soul.
He's already won Oscars before. He's clearly part of their scene, and the Challenger soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
And at least it's one way to kind of honor that movie in a way where it's been largely edged out in every other category.
Yeah.
You know,
that was a funny thing about the Oscars too, is before the nominations came out, and I don't know if this was because of the nominations, like they knew in advance, or they were just like, you know, we see the people that are shortlisted for nominations, so we're going to cancel this. There's not going to be any performances at the Oscars this year of any of the Oscar nominated songs.
Yeah, I read that and I came out and talked to you and I was like, it's so crazy because like last year, I'm Just Ken was like, it was like one of the biggest moments of the show, and it was super great, and it brought a lot of energy back into a very long evening. And you know, and often it's an opportunity to get Billie Eilish and like some really big names up there, and then then
the nominations came out and you're like, I can see there's not really any kind of performance value to the songs that are nominated.
Yeah, they feel like very much you either need to see them in context of the movie, or they're probably going to be ballady downers that were not, like, at least, you know, What Was I Made For was kind of a hit, even though it's a super downer.
Yeah. Well, you know? And like one of the nominations is Elton John, which I'm sure is a great song. I don't know the song, but also if you haven't heard, he's going blind right now and he can't play music anymore.
Yeah. He's not in any condition to perform.
Yeah.
So,
and that's another weird thing. Not weird. I shouldn't say weird, but that was a crazy thing I learned from seeing him interviewed and talk about his losing his vision, is that he still reads music and plays all of his songs via reading music. And I'm like, you've been playing these songs for 50 years. They're not memorized into your fingertips. You still need to read music?
Okay, know who can show up and save the day for this?
Who?
Gaga. This feels like an opportunity for her to show up and play the piano and like have her I'm taking care of a legend moment, because that's what she does best. And he can do the singing.
Yeah.
You know, she can join in. But like...
Or just do the Beyonce thing that did that one year where Gaga could sing all the nominees. Even make it a montage. Remember that one year Beyonce sang everything? That
would be nice.
Yeah. I'm down.
Well, and seriously, because I know a lot of people even who don't care for Gaga at least kind of had to recognize that she's got some skill when she did that Sound of Music number.
Yeah.
At the Oscars, because it definitely, I think that was like so shortly after, like, you know, the meat dress in a lot of people's heads, where it was just like, oh, okay, like she actually can be classy and like sing nice. I mean, if you're not into her music.
My Gaga tattoo is from the Oscars.
Yeah.
It's her and Liza Minnelli at the Oscars.
Every time she shows up at the Oscars, she's just a classy lady.
She's a classy lady all the time.
Yeah.
Except in her new Bruno Mars video. Have you seen this?
No.
So Bruno Mars came out with a song this week that is literally flipping everyone's lid because it's about WAPs. And he literally says the words, and it's all about like the gush gush and all that stuff. And Gaga is in the video for no reason other than just to be a cameo.
I think I've seen a screenshot of that. Yeah. Like red wig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got like a cherry Coke wig, and there's I think a K-pop star, and then the song is Bruno and possibly another K-pop star. But anyway, Gaga and the other star are just background actors, pretty much just dancing in the video. But the song is very adult and very outside of Bruno Mars, what you expect from Bruno Mars. And just seeing the reaction videos on TikTok of being like, Bruno.
He's having his Nelly Furtado loose moment.
Right? Or he's having his,
wrecking ball.
His Miley sexual awakening, his Britney sexual awakening. You know, at 40, that's a good time to have that, or however old Bruno Mars is. I love just seeing how many people are like, Bruno, how much money do you owe those people? Because that's another thing, if you don't know, the word on the street is Bruno Mars, terrible gambling addict.
Well, I mean, he's in the wrong...
the casinos in Vegas so much money that he's like trapped in doing all these things for money.
He's in the wrong city. Sorry, like speaking of movies and Oscar-y stuff, just because like it was fun, at least for the Oscars, to nominate The Substance for some stuff, which is super cool.
Yeah,
like,
that was good to see.
You don't see that kind of genre representation very often, which is cool.
When was and you consider The Substance to be a horror film?
Yes, just because of the sheer gore, mutilation factor
Yeah.
going on that puts it straight up into horror territory.
But when was the last time a movie like that had nominations and buzz?
I cannot even.
Did Hereditary get anything?
No, Hereditary got
Or
snubbed.
Midsommar?
Nope. I mean, I know like the Exorcist was nominated for some Oscars.
Original.
Yeah, the original. I know some people would consider Silence of the Lambs to be horror, but like that was just like a hard procedural thriller, and that was like 1993.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like every kind of genre gets its moment, but it's because I feel like Seven would have been nominated for some Oscars if Silence of the Lambs hadn't already done it 4 years earlier or 2 years earlier. 2 years, I guess. And so, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on, I feel. But yeah, it's nice to see, you know, like Demi Moore get recognized, and like the director who is just fucking cool. And speaking of her, we watched her earlier movie this week as well, Revenge, which was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's another like female focused movie.
Lady Rage.
Trigger warning, there is a lot of like female what am I trying to think? Like violence against women in it. But it's a really good revenge movie. If you just need to see, like, you know, someone get their comeuppance.
But yeah, I mean, check the ratings, the rating description from like it's on the back of the box or whatever. It is trigger warning worthy.
Don't watch it with the kids.
No,
don't
but
watch
even
it with
then,
the kids.
like a lot of people may not like it just because of its, you know, its content at its starting point.
Yeah.
But like it is a. Like, I remember just after the election, I remember seeing a bunch of articles coming out being like, here are some good feminine rage movies. And this was one of them. And I was like, oh, well, from the director of The Substance, and the topic sounds awesome. Yeah. And I'm in.
But she's making female-led films that I want to see, of like revenge and comeuppance, and just, yeah, she's a really great director, and I hope that she continues in this lane.
Yeah, like one of the critic blurbs that's kind of fitting for Revenge is it gouges the male gaze right out of your head or whatever. And it's like, because seriously, it uses a lot of elements of the male gaze and just kind of subverts them in so many ways. But I feel like The Substance did the same thing.
Well, and what's fun about it is the same thing with The Substance is like pretty much right when all the hardcore stuff starts happening, you just let it happen. Like, obviously it would not happen in real life, and it's not fantasy, it's not sci-fi, but like if this happened in real life, everything would have ended quite quickly.
Oh yeah.
But in the movie, you're just like, okay, yeah, she did that, and now we're gonna go on and finish it.
Yep.
And I'm ready.
Like, yeah, I'm willing to accept that in this world, our bodies are capable of holding just a lot more fluid than you would think.
Like, she has it's almost like, you know, Quentin Tarantino loves feet, and M. Night Shyamalan loves the color red. This director loves like a gushy sound,
and also just a wet scene.
Yeah,
she loves a scene where just everything gets shiny and soaked by the time it's done.
Very gushy.
Yeah, the trivia actually did say that they ran out a few times of stage blood for this movie, and they had to get more.
Right? I'm like, I was thinking that when we were watching it, because, you know, It Chapter 2 apparently broke a record for the most stage blood used in a single scene of all time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like this movie could be a close second.
Yeah, right? I mean, I feel like, especially, or The Substance. Yeah, failing that. Like,
right? I feel like The Substance,
we need to reevaluate
sure.
this record, like, and see what's the holder now.
Right. But yeah, whatever she does next, I'm very excited about.
Seriously, I am so in it, and like I'm in for whatever because I trust her.
I need to look up her name because I don't know it.
Coralie Fargeat.
Oh yeah, Fargeat.
Yeah, Fargeat. I do not know how to pronounce. I'm 95% sure that's how it's spelled. I have zero confidence in how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
in French.
Fargeat. What'd you call me? All right.
But yeah, Coralie is her first name.
Well, that's been our movie rundown.
Yeah, like sorry, we've been busy with movie stuff. You know, like, and because we finished Shogun, we talked about that.
Yeah,
it's been a movie week, and enjoying the return of Severance,
which I'm very on board. And I saw a funny TikTok about how, like, if Severance had been on HBO, it would be a water cooler show that everyone talks about, like White Lotus. But because it's on Apple TV, no one talks about it. Well, since the start of season 2, I'm starting to see fan theories and what are they called? Easter egg videos on TikTok about like, did you see this in this one scene? Did you know this? Blah, blah, blah. So like, I'm seeing it for season 2, so it's coming around. But I do agree. There's a lot of really good stuff on Apple Plus that we just don't watch and we don't know about.
Well, and like the water cooler has moved from, like the literal water cooler to the online
to
thing.
TikTok.
Yeah. And so it is interesting because you always think about back in the day, like when Lost was on, where like literally at the water cooler, like we would talk about Lost. And similarly with Game of Thrones. Like I remember at work, like you better watch the show on Sunday because Monday it would be spoken about at the office. Like you just knew it, and they warned me when I took the job. They're like, if you watch Game of Thrones, make sure you watch it the night of because they literally even told me who. They were like, so and so will speak freely about it the next day. It's like okay,
better watch it when it happens.
Good to know. Like as a company, we were prepared.
Yeah, the spoiler window on Zeitgeisty TV is like 12 hours.
Oh yeah, if it's appointment TV, just make it your business to watch it. Like I knew people who would actually be like, no, I'm staying in my office to watch it during lunch, like on Monday, because like I don't want to spoil, but like I need to see it right now.
Meanwhile, Mary-Kate Place, is that her name? Anyway, the current Elphaba on Broadway for Wicked said that people are leaving an intermission because they don't want the second movie spoiled. That's so funny to me.
Wow.
Please don't spoil a 20-year-old movie and book or Broadway show and book.
That's funny. Well, I mean,
and I agree. I don't know what happens in the second act besides the songs.
Nor do I.
So like,
well, I don't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know how it ends, and so I don't want to see that either. Because I was like, if it goes on tour, should we try to go see it? And I'm like, no, I want to see the second movie first.
It is funny because I didn't know if I cared that much about the second movie because I was like, I don't know where this is going, and I don't know if I care that much. But you gave me a couple little like seeds of spoilers about like characters from part
Wizard
1 and how we will see them later in part 2, and I'm like, it made me more intrigued, like because I'm starting to see more connections now, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm actually like, because before it felt like such a disconnected story, where I was just like, okay, but yeah, like so I'm more intrigued now. I'm also looking forward to the press tour for part 2. I feel like they're just gonna have even more fun than they did this time.
We need a Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande press tour every year. So like
they need to start. They need a late night variety show,
right?
Like,
they need to bring that back.
They like them doing a Sonny and Cher thing.
I would so good.
I would absolutely. Oh my god! And Cynthia could wear the wackiest wigs.
Right, and if they started doing Kelly Clarkson karaoke, they would knock Kelly off the charts.
Seriously, oh my god, did we just come up with the
next great show?
Right, I think we may have.
Right.
Anyway,
I want to watch that right now.
Right, I would totally. But it was funny. Speaking of like non-spoiler stuff, like I'm reading right now. I'm reading 100 Years of Solitude because I want to watch the Netflix show. Although the Netflix show is only I think the first half. And even then, like the second half doesn't even have a date yet. But
for filming,
I want to read the book before I see any of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say earlier about Oscar nominations and stuff. Like Wicked got a bunch, but they still have another movie coming out, so like they can go through this again next year. Yeah. If they don't win anything this year, they can just try harder for next year.
And they're not going to have this. Well, and John Chu will have a chance, like probably at the conclusion of the thing, because I know he was snubbed or whatever as director, which is a crazy move for a big movie that feels kind of uniquely driven.
Especially when there's no set amount of people that can be nominated for things. Like they changed that a long time ago. So there can be 10 best director nominations. There doesn't have to just be 5 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I also just feel like ever since Argo, it's like, I don't want to say if you have a best picture nominee, you better nominate the director. But like, it feels weird when you don't.
It's weird that you would have one without the other.
Yeah. Like I know. And because like Argo at least was definitely one of those that surprised a lot of people. Yeah. But like the fact that Ben could not win best director for that was crazy.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, luckily last week on our next segment, we already got what's your favorite movie. So we don't worry. The next segment will not be about movies, but I think it's time to move on to that segment, which is called What's Your Order? What's your order?
I'm gonna pull up movie snacks or some shit.
Right. I don't think that's in here, but we did add like 12 things. And the first one of the new year was what's your favorite TV show? And then it was what's your favorite movie?
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be entertainment driven, but we shall see.
Who's your favorite monkey?
I think it's your turn.
Yeah, I think it's my turn.
And today's What's Your Order is
cereal, which we've been going through a kick right now.
We've been eating a lot of cereal, and that's a really good one because there are so many philosophies that we could go down with cereals.
Yeah.
Well, since you drew, you go first.
Okay. Well, I often love a cereal that is basically the equivalent of kibble for humans. Just a plain non-sweetened, like, I mean, I love like a Kix Cheerios, plain Cheerios, just you know, corn flakes.
Total.
Like I love.
You got me into Total.
Yeah, I love just a really straightforward kind of, you know, chill ass breakfast.
Yeah.
I like them super crunchy. Like, I don't love a mushy cereal. So like if I have a flake, I'm very much like I'm getting it before it goes soft. But like I grew up with sugary ass cereal, so it's not like I grew up in a crunchy granola house. Like, yeah, I grew up with the Chocotastic cereals represented heavily. So like I'm a big fan of Rice Krispies also.
Plain.
Yep, plain, and the treats, which are made from them. We used to love the Rice Krispie treat cereal because they came in like these really great clumps, but instead they started just coating individual rice.
Well, and they added like Lucky Charms marshmallows. It wasn't the same.
It was not good what they did with it. But the original Rice Krispie treats cereal is amazing. But no, like I love like Crave, you know, the little pillows with the chocolate inside. You know,
that's I think the only sugar cereal you eat.
I mean,
which is funny because it's a very decadent sugar cereal.
Yeah, occasionally I'll do like a Lucky Charms. I used to love Fruit Loops. Like, yeah, I mean,
you did
back when I was a kid.
Okay.
But like Cookie Crisp, so good dry, terrible in milk. I will never understand that.
Well, you are an ice eater. I don't even say you're an ice chewer. You will eat ice.
Yes.
So you like just a very hard, crunchy, chewy thing.
Crunch is a big motivator for me. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'd say that's probably like the main. That's a pretty quick summary of my Reese's Puffs. Holy shit.
I was going to say, you have another chocolatey or another candy version.
Cocoa Krispies, I'm also a big fan of. And Cocoa Krispies, never Cocoa Pebbles.
There you go.
I do not care for the pebble
texture.
It's an uneven chew. I always feel like half of it's crunchy and half of it's kind of hard or like kind of spongy almost. Yeah. It's weird. It might be a more natural experience or something, but like I feel like a Cocoa Krispie is at least like pretty consistent throughout. But yeah, I think that basically sums up Rob's experience in the cereal aisle. And
nowadays, you definitely eat more cereal than me.
Yeah, well, and it's like, I'm a nighttime cereal eater more than anything else.
Very much. And I will also, I want to talk about your cereal eating technique.
Oh, yeah.
But I love I pretty much go to bed before Rob every night of the week. And I love waking up in the morning and be like, oh, there's a little bowl, a little spoon on the coffee table. Somebody had some late night cereal.
Yeah, well, I try to get it to the sink. But yeah, no, the way I do it is I do I grab a smaller bowl than I usually use for everything. And I fill it with the stuff, put milk on top of it. But
cereal, then milk.
Yeah, but
you're not one of those crazy people that does milk first.
But not a ton because I need my stuff to stay crunchy. And I'll eat pretty well, and then until there's a little puddle of milk, and then I add enough. I was
going to say, where do you take it, Rob? Where do you take it?
I eat on the couch. That's where we tend to eat most meals on our coffee table, and I bring out the box with me when I bring out the bowl, because I think that's an old being a kid reading the box habit. Yeah. First off, because I can't tell you how many times I've reread the same cereal boxes and read on the same kids' activities in my head on the back of the box growing up.
If you have a table, you're going to bring the milk and the cereal. It's going to sit on the table in front of you while you eat anyway.
So the table's moved.
Yeah.
So I just lug the shit.
We don't own a table.
Yeah, I just lug the shit to the new table. But I don't I watch TV and I eat my cereal, and then I just keep the box there so I can keep adding to the bowl until the milk is basically gone. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of sip the last thing and that's it. But I rather than ever refill the milk, I just kind of keep adding cereal to keep keeping crunchy cereal in milk until it's gone.
And it's so funny because we always get the biggest box of Cheerios you can get, which is the family mega size.
The 2-pack family mega size from Costco.
No, but this is the largest single box you can purchase is the giant family box. And seeing tiny little Rob walking around with a box of Cheerios that is bigger than his body and a spoon, and he just curls up on the sofa, and he keeps the box in his elbow pit, and he eats, and it's the cutest little tableau.
Well, and I'm sure there are photos of me as a baby, because I've heard all sorts of stories about me as a kid walking around the house carrying literally when it was as big as me, carrying a big box of Cheerios and just kind of eating out of the box, walking down the hallway with the dog following me in case I dropped anything. And so
you are a living cartoon.
Yeah,
you are so cute.
Yeah.
Before I talk about my cereal preferences,
yes, let's talk cereal.
When I worked at Grub in LA, 15 years ago. Anyway, we were a brunch restaurant, and one of our things was that we would mix like 4 different sugar cereals together. And then when you sat down at your table, you would get a bowl of dry cereal to munch on while you like look at the menu and get your coffee and stuff like that.
That was my favorite opportunity to have Cocoa Puffs.
And I've never seen another restaurant do that ever. And I think that's such a good thing. If you own a breakfast restaurant, you should be putting out a bowl of dry kids cereal when people sit down, and people loved it. Like people literally freaked out about it.
Seriously, like what? I mean, because I feel like, and of course you have so many options of what you could do with it. Because like now I'm thinking it was like that would be like the perfect opportunity for me to get all the cereals that I don't want a whole bowl of, like Cocoa Puffs, Golden Grams, like it's all those that I'm like,
you can make your own mix.
Yeah.
Sylvia would always get just the giant bags from what's it called?
Costco?
No, the other one that no one knows is a Costco, but you don't have to have a membership.
Smart and Final.
And she would just get the big bags, and it was always Cocoa Puffs, Captain Crunch, and Lucky Charms usually, but then like occasionally she'd get Fruit Loops or something, and like people love it.
Well, and I appreciate,
me included,
and I appreciated that they never did any sort of coated cereal, like because I like, you know, and this is the thing where I'm an outlier here. I'm not a fan of the number one cereal in America, which is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Not a fan.
I was like, coated in what?
But like it's coated in that sort of
like
cinnamon sugar,
chip.
And so like if you had that in that mix, everything would get cinnamon sugar.
Yeah.
But like, so I appreciated that it was a very much like, you know, a dry cereal mix.
Also, in the hierarchy of like when I go to a restaurant, what I'm happy with, 9 times out of 10, if you can just get me a table and I sit there forever without a server, without a glass of water, anything, I'm happy that I'm just sitting at a table. But then second is if you bring free bread or breadsticks or
chips and salsa.
I mean, Grub also did carrots and celery and ranch during lunch and dinner, and people loved that too for free. You just get a little basket of veggies and dip. But yeah, if I have like a little something to sip on and a little thing to snack on, I don't care how long it takes for you to take my order. I'm at least sitting down and doing something.
Yeah.
I'd much rather than waiting in a lobby for a table or like waiting for them to text you. So yeah. Anyway, my cereals are all over the board because I grew up in a cereal house. It was our main breakfast food for years. And I still love cereal. I mean, I also love peanut butter and jelly. I love all the foods from my childhood. But I would say my number one childhood cereal was Fruity Pebbles. Just obsessed with Fruity Pebbles because I love a soggy cereal. Like I will pour cereal and milk into a bowl and walk away. And then I will come back when it's soggy. Like I love a slop. I love a porridge. I don't know why. It's like just a delicious texture thing. Also, I think I used to suffer from Captain Crunch mouth really bad. I still do. Like if I eat like a super toasty sandwich or if I eat Captain Crunch, anything, all the skin on the roof of my mouth is gone. So I prefer, and I also have like terrible teeth. I just prefer a soggy experience. I also love oatmeal. Oatmeal is a big breakfast food for me.
Well,
So,
I mean, and like in the hot cereals, I'm a cream of wheat guy.
which I hate. That's too slimy.
Oh, it's funny, and I think it's just because my grandmother loved it, and I grew up having it with her, and it makes me think of her. And
Like I still need a little body to the food that I'm eating, and I feel like cream of wheat is like pure slime.
Well, it's like 'cause I feel like grits are more like slime. But
Grits are slime, but if they're cheesy, they're delicious.
But I like grits. But like grits are almost like I feel like grits are the runny version of they're the runny whites of cream of wheat. If cream of wheat were eggs, which like it's fine. I like runny whites. I'm fine with it. So like I love grits, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. Like I do that one hot cereal.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But no, I love a soggy cereal. And like growing up, I have 2 older brothers, so 3 boys. It was just all sugar all the time. So our other cereals that my mom always got us were Golden Grams and Frosted Flakes. And it's funny to see my brothers raising their kids the same way. Like the cereals they have in their houses are the same ones we grew up with. But we were never a chocolate of any kind cereal. No Cocoa Krispies, no Cocoa Pebbles, no Cookie Crisp, nothing chocolatey because I don't have a taste for fake chocolate. Like anything fake chocolate is just bleh. I also don't like chocolate milk. Like
and I never developed a taste for a frosted flake or a like frosted mini wheats were kind of okay.
Ooh, we were a big frosted mini wheat house.
But frosted mini wheats was more of a thing of like if I'm on the go, I would have like the little box of it, and like that way you could just kind of pop one in and grab a carton of milk and drink it.
Yeah,
that was the best cereal for when you didn't have a bowl.
Yeah, frosted mini wheats are one of the. If you like a soggy cereal, they're like little sponges, so they will soak up all the milk and get just perfectly soggy. It's like a I don't know, a soggy cereal chicken nugget. And when you eat it, it's got really good body, but when you start chewing it, it just floods milk into your mouth. It's one of the perfect like milk to cereal ratios.
And if you like a crunchy cereal, literally eat it dry. Yeah. And then wash down with milk.
Wash it down with some milk.
So that's how I have to do Frosted Mini Wheats. Otherwise, they get too soggy.
No, I get it.
But it's funny because like we are very much two sides of the same coin of like, and that's why it works out. Like, but soggy then, shit for him, crunchy for me.
When I was a kid and I discovered the giant.
The hilarious
wheats.
They're not
but
even
they're
frosted
like never
minis.
frosted.
Yeah, they're just
plain.
They're just wheats,
and it's just like one giant wheat puck.
Yeah,
and I always wanted them, but they were plain, and I was like, "Well, there's no sugar. What am I going to do?"
Seriously, because I thought the same thing, and I was like, "I do like
they
the
still
frosting."
make those?
I don't know, because they feel pointless,
right?
Like,
You were supposed to like, I think, pour the milk over it and then let it disintegrate, or you were supposed to break it up like.
And you're supposed to break it,
yeah,
but like. That it just feels weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of science involved in that one, and I don't think that one's for me.
Right? It just feels like it feels almost like if they suddenly started saying like, you can turn rice cakes into breakfast cereal. Here's how.
Yeah,
and it's like no.
Yeah, that's too much.
No.
But on the soggy train, so like I love to get all of my cereals soggy. Frosted Flakes, Golden Grahams, everything's soggy.
Oh, the soggy train.
But like one of the best, if you just want to eat slop, like if you just want to eat an old fashioned like porridgey slop, Grape Nuts is such a good cereal to sog up, but it takes the longest because I think that cereal is designed to not get soggy.
Well, or to go in the microwave and still survive with some
I didn't realize you could eat it warm until I was like an adult. And it is good warm, but it's my muscle memory of it is cold. So like I love Grape Nuts. It wrecks me internally.
Well, I was funny. Of the sitting in milk for a long time, the one thing about cereal that I do feel gets very good in milk for a long time, the marshmallows and Lucky Charms. The longer they sit in milk.
See, I think they get slimy.
But they also get kind of pillowy and like they just get like, because they're so powdery. Yeah. Like when they're dry, that like I actually love the sort of more hydrated marshmallows in breakfast cereal.
That's interesting.
It's like, I feel like things where I'm like those can stay. I will later eat around them to have them at the end.
I love Lucky Charms because it's literally just like Cheerios with marshmallows in it, but
frosted Cheerios with marshmallows.
But it takes so long for them to sog up, then the marshmallows get soggy, like I said, and so that's a texture thing I don't want to do. So I don't really eat a lot of Lucky Charms. Also, those kind of cereals, which I think are like oat based.
Well, and they're always after them.
Like
the kids are always after your Lucky Charms.
True,
Anyway.
but Cheerios and Lucky Charms, they give me terrible gas.
Everything does.
Well, true. That's correct.
Find me a food that doesn't, and we'll talk about that. And we will
water?
invest. I'm going to go ahead and say that does it too.
Nope. I'll be farting all. If I drink water, I'm farting all night.
Oh God.
But no. Okay. So other cereals that we were really into, Mueslix or muesli, like, which is pretty much just like granola with flakes in it.
Okay.
I love it because it mushes up. I like to mush it into a porridge and eat it like I'm a Three Little Bear. But again, another one that wrecks me. And sometimes it could be too many raisins. I am a fan of Raisin Bran. I love raisins and things. But sometimes there can be too many raisins. Two scoops in this economy? That's a lot.
Any raisins is too many.
No, see, I like it. But I also like raisins in my carrot cake. Raisins have a place in certain foods.
It's funny because as a kid, I also had a reputation of walking around with a box of raisins all the time.
Oh,
as
you
a
were one of those kids?
I was a kid, I guess, who thought raisins were nature's candy. And now as an adult, I'm like,
bleh.
Normal candy, please, if I'm going to have that.
Get yourself some candy.
Please, sir, ask the men for some candy.
But yeah, I also love Raisin Bran. And then I love Wheaties. Like, there's not really a cereal I don't get down with. Besides Honey Smacks? Is that what they're called? Honey Smacks with the frog?
Oh, yeah, Golden Smacks or Sugar Smacks.
Are you sure?
I believe so.
They might have rebranded.
There was Honey Crisp that had the bear.
I don't know.
Like because there's, I want to say it's literally called like Sugar Smacks.
Ooh, Chex. I go ham on some Chex. Well, we'll get to adult cereals next. But
anyway,
Smacks. I've never liked Smacks. I've never gotten into Smacks. I don't know. I think they're like puffed oats. Never liked them.
Know what?
Terrible flavor, weird consistency. Just did not like Smacks.
Like, you know what? Like occasionally I like used to get as a kid, and I fucking loved them. But like it's weird because as an adult I had them, and like they have a really weird flavor to them. Honeycomb.
Oh, I remember like they're pretty much like frosted Cheetos. Like, aren't they
they're
corn puffs?
Kinda. They're real weird. Yeah. And so it's funny.
I remember being fascinated as a child from the commercials and being like, I want to try that because it looked like a giant piece of cereal.
Yeah.
But I think when I had them, I was like, oh, these aren't that good.
Yeah. Well, even like in corn pops, for some reason, every time I've had them, they're way too chewy. It's almost like eating a packing peanut.
Right. And I do like that, but it's very much like I will crave corn pops and eat a whole box in maybe 2 days and then leave them alone for a decade.
Well, and I feel like I need them to be like air fried first. I need them way crunchier, but I guess that's why I usually go for Kicks. Yeah, for that. But anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I keep popping in though. I'm like,
I love all the Captain Crunch varieties. Oops All Berries. I'm on the fence about Oops All Berries, but I'll eat it. But my favorite Captain Crunch is peanut butter, and I'll go ham on a peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Oh, I used to fucking live on peanut butter Captain Crunch as a kid.
Roof of mouth skin be damned. I'm eating this Captain Crunch.
Well, I mean, seriously, I apparently have a vendetta against the roof of my mouth, based on how I eat pizza, everything that comes out of the air fryer. Like even the amount of cold temperatures that like extremes I expose the roof of my mouth to.
Ice.
Yeah, like honestly, I just hate the roof of my mouth.
Your poor roof of your mouth. But yeah, peanut butter Captain Crunch. Oh, that's a god tier cereal.
Yeah,
but I find myself as an adult navigating to just unsweetened cereals just for the experience. Although I do like to add a packet of Splenda. If I'm eating grape nuts, I really love Chex, like Rice Chex is one of my biggest cereals, but I always put like a packet of Splenda on it because it's just, I don't want sugar. And as a kid, I used to like pour sugar on unsweetened cereals. But now just a packet of Splenda and mix it up and let it get soggy and I'm good to go.
It's like, because I knew people and family, I think, who would put like sugar on like Cheerios. And I was just like, I didn't understand that. But like, I guess for me also, like, it's like, so my mom also, I think, eats Cheerios late at night when she like can't sleep and her stomach's kind of off.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things of just kind of, it's like a late night cool stomach settler in a way.
Yeah.
And so, I think often if like part of the appeal is that Cheerios are not sweet and that they're very bland. Because I do like Honey Nut Cheerios, but
they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, like they actually make me kind of like, oh my God, I sound so middle-aged. Like they give me a lot of like acid. I feel really, kind of shitty afterward.
Well,
but like
speaking of acid,
whoa, where are we going?
Because it's a trip. Fruity Cheerios, which I don't even know if they make Fruity Cheerios anymore.
Oh yeah,
but they made them for a while, and they were a really good halfway point between like full-on Fruit Loops and just plain Cheerios. Like if you wanted a fruity cereal that wasn't too sweet, Fruity Cheerios were so good.
Because like, they were doing a lot. They did like apple cinnamon Cheerios. They did frosted Cheerios.
Yeah.
They never did like a chocolate one though, did they? I feel like if they did, I would have had it.
They do, yeah. They have a chocolate. They do pumpkin spice.
Ow.
There's Cheerios and Oreos just were like, let's do every flavor known to man.
Which I am a cookies and cream person, and I don't think I've ever had a cookies and cream cereal, and that feels like a
They
weird.
make an Oreo cereal.
Maybe I have.
It's like Apple Jacks with crumbles of Oreo on them.
Huh. Because maybe I have had that then, because it feels like something I would do.
And it's not even limited time. Like I think they still have it.
Well, I probably need to get that anyway then.
But like I loved limited edition cereals of my childhood. Batman cereal,
They
Addams
came with
Family.
the bank.
Yeah.
But like every box of the Batman cereal was oddly crushed from the front because of that too tight shrink wrapped plastic bust bank that was strapped to it. But it's funny, like not one box survived.
Batman cereal, Addams Family cereal, Ghostbusters cereal.
I'm pretty sure there was Ninja Turtle cereal for a minute.
Ninja Turtle cereal. I loved all of them, which they still do, but like it's pure sugar. I don't navigate towards those anymore.
Yeah.
Plus now it's like Caillou or whatever. What do kids watch?
Fortnite.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now it's like Fortnite cereals.
I was like, seriously, it's like I don't think you can. I mean, you can watch Fortnite on Twitch, I guess, but like, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's got to be some video game cereals at this point.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, so I forgot the other cereal I eat a ton of, which I just ate half a box yesterday for dinner, is Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds, the blue box. That's my favorite one. It's so good. But I also want to talk about flakes. I love plain corn flakes. Like corn flakes, delicious, especially when they're soggy. I love a Wheaties. I love a Total. Like I love just like a soggy flaked cereal. But you know which flake I've never gotten down with? Special K. I don't like it. It doesn't sog up properly, and it's a weird texture, and it kind of gives you Captain Crunch mouth.
Okay, I've never been a fan of Special K, but growing up in a house with a mom that didn't do like fad dieting, but like
bought like health conscious foods.
You know, like we were a reflection of the time.
Lady foods.
And like, you know, so therefore, there was Slim Fast. There was, what was the other, instant shake mix?
Snackwell? Oh.
There was, like there was Carnation Instant Breakfast. There was all sorts of like, kind of fatty, not fatty.
F-A-D.
Yeah, there were fad food items in the home. And definitely Special K was one of them. And
yeah.
So it's funny, like as a kid who drank like, even like fully sugar soda, like I developed a taste for Diet Coke. It was never a substitute for Coke, but it was like what you had to do when regular Coke wasn't around. And like
it just like Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah, and it had its own flavor to it. You just kind of recognized it as its own thing.
Yeah.
And so like Special K was one of those where it's like, oh, I'm out of cornflakes. I'll make do with the diet cereal. But I will say the Special K that comes with the little chocolate chunks in it, that is some weird mocklet shit, and for some reason it is unbelievably satisfying to me, but I'm also picking it out of my teeth all day.
I was gonna say the chocolate does not break down.
It does not melt.
It doesn't melt. It
It's
doesn't
strange.
break it out, and especially if you're eating it cold, it just makes it worse.
It's real weird, but for
I think
some
it's
reason
literally pure wax.
it is like a satisfying thing for me, kind of like how I don't like a fresh Butterfinger. I like a super kind of crunchy Butterfinger that I kind of have to pick out of my teeth for an hour.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun. And but yeah, so anyway, Special K, the chocolate version, not bad, but like
not worth it.
Yeah, you could do better.
And
if
then
you're just getting cereal,
I do one of the only cereals I like to eat dry because it is more of a cookie than a cereal to me is Crave, because it has liquid frosting on the inside of it. Like it's such a weird experience that shouldn't exist as a cereal, but it does.
Oh, they're so
good.
good.
That's the one I like dry. Is like the Crave stuffed cereals. They're so weird.
Because yeah, it's like a more chocolatey version of.
And we got the Cinnamon Toast Crunch kind.
Cookie Crisp. Oh yeah, the what are they called? They're called like
Gushers or Loaders or there was something sexual. Oh yeah, filled. It was something that were like, whoa, that's a gay sex term.
Well, and also like even like the interior cream color is just
suggestive.
Yeah. And and the enlarged to show detail image on the the box feels fairly graphic. It's weird.
But that's what I was going to say is the other cereal that I just get down with hardcore. The only sugar cereal I really eat as an adult regularly, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So good. Growing up, it was Golden Grams. And like I said, my brothers still are obsessed with Golden Grams. But as an adult, the only one I really get down with is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Oh, it's such a delight, even though I am slightly allergic to cinnamon. And that shrimp tail thing happened and then disappeared, which if I ever make a documentary, it will be about the guy who was married to Topanga from Boys Meet World. Boy Meets World.
Are we not saying his name because you don't know it or because
I don't know it?
It's Jensen Karp?
Yeah, and then he had that viral like Twitter thing where he found shrimp tails in a Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and then was it General Mills that owns them? Started an entire investigation, and then like the FDA got involved, and it was this huge thing, and then we never got closure.
Which it's so funny because Jensen Karp was kind of someone that I knew about long before because he was kind of in the sort of I guess underground hip hoppy scene to a degree, and like the sort of like art scene that I was into, and he was literally featured on like the Simpsons 20th anniversary special.
He's the Millhouse guy,
because he has a Millhouse tattoo on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And but like so it's so funny because like I feel like I saw him on TV so long, and like I knew so much about Jensen just because like he was in LA a lot, and like we kind of he actually lived there, and we bounced off the same kind of crowds for a minute, but I never met him. And then all of a sudden
he was like industry known as a piece of shit, and then like doing the shrimp tail thing kind of he Me Too'd himself because a lot of people started coming out about how he like Me Too'd them and stuff. And it was all this like crazy stuff that he like brought on himself. And then we never got closure.
He kind of got milkshake ducked.
Yeah. And I think Topanga's still married to him.
I think so.
What's her name? Trishelle? No.
Danielle Fishel.
Fishel. That's what it was. Well,
look at me pulling out names.
Official.
Heyo.
That we like cereal on this podcast. So
approved.
Your homework for this week is to go out and get some cereal. And just enjoy yourself.
Sorry, but it's good.
Certain cereals are expensive, but you can still get some good cheap ones. And just treat yourself. You know, have a good cereal day
just
for
go
dinner.
Nuts. Get some Count Chocula or something. Just like
if you're into chocolate cereals. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about. But I don't like Blueberry. I don't like what's the ghost one? Oh, that's Blueberry.
Frankenberry.
And Blueberry.
Yeah, there are two berries. Yeah,
and Blueberry's blue. Frankenberry's pink.
Which I've always been a Count Chocula guy, but I love chocolate cereals.
Yeah, and it's funny because like my mom would never get us those cereals for some reason. But also, I don't like chocolate cereals.
They're of the devil.
Yeah. Thank God. But yeah, your assignment for this week is to go out and get cereal and let us know what you get. Also, if you're listening in another country, tell us about cereals of the world.
Right. Well, and I'm sure there's also a lot of other pivots that we're going to talk about when it comes to the various milks that they use. We are a lactose-free household.
Yeah, we use Lactaid.
But we are a dairy milk household still.
Yeah, we drink tons of cow milk, but it is Lactaid based. I don't like doing like soy milk or almond milk on cereal because it just tastes like water.
Yeah, it's always
doesn't sog up right.
Right, it's
There's
always
no
a little
body
too thin.
to it. Yeah.
So,
but all right, well, that was a fun episode.
yeah.
We got to talk about movies and cereal, my two favorite things. But thanks for listening, you guys. Keep subscribing and sharing and commenting and liking and all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a great week. We love you. Goodbye.